This video presentation is a compilation of the media assets put together for the presentation on branding for E3 Speaks on Entrepreneurship. This particular event is an ongoing partnership with the City of Jacksonville's Public Library and E3 Business Group. This particular presentation was conducted by the CEO of DESIGNEFX Companies, John Carter III. Thank you for listening. Good afternoon to you. My name is John Carter. I'm the CEO of the DESIGNEFX Companies, and I'm also a member of E3 Business Group. And I'm here to share a little bit of my observations on branding as it relates to a business. So what is branding? Well, if we looked at some of the brief research that I've came up with from businessdirectory.com, we'll have the definition listed up above. The process involved in creating a unique name and image for a product in the consumer's mind, mainly through advertising campaigns with a consistent theme. Branding aims to establish a significant and differentiated presence in the market that attracts and retains loyal customers. And then for added measure, we could always just throw in the definition of a brand from our resident internet research source, Wikipedia. A brand is a name, term, design, symbol, or other feature that distinguishes an organization or product from its rivals in the eyes of its customer. Brands are used in business, marketing, and advertising. Name brands are sometimes distinguished from generic or store brands. But not to get too deeply into the woods on this, I just wanted to share some things that I've observed throughout the years of work with different clients and their business identity, better known as branding. I'd simply like to approach this time we have together with a 3-2-1 approach. Branding: 3 things, 2 others, and 1 thing more. More specifically, 3 things branding should be, 2 things branding should not be, and 1 thing we should all remember about branding. So let's get into it. Regarding 3 things branding should be, please keep in mind that there are a lot more than just 3 things. But based on what I've seen with my interactions with different clients, these are 3 fairly consistent yet very important things branding should be as it relates to a client's business. Number 1, it should be synonymous with what your organization stands for. For example, your organization's values, your method of execution, and/or your overall view of your customers. Whatever makes your organization distinctive and what gives your organization its overall identity should be able to have some connection to what they see when they look at it. Since your branding is the first thing people see about your organization, there is an unconscious expectation that what they see is going to reflect what the organization is in a nutshell. It's almost along the lines of the old adage of first impressions. Although they're not always correct, they do tend to be very lasting. So it's important that your branding adequately and accurately reflects what your organization is and what you envision it to be to those who it gets in front of. Secondly, branding should be powerful enough to not be complicated. Just as a little bit of background, over time, my strongest skill set that I've offered my clients has almost without fail been my ability to put together a strong, effective logo design. When I was in college some years ago, many of my graphic design professors were very adamant about drilling into our brains as students the most powerful branding and identities of an organization are the ones that carry across the idea of your organization with simplicity. In your mind, in your mission, model, and vision, you can be as elaborate as possible. But to carry the core of your message, you should be as concise and to the point as possible. Much like the 30-second elevator speech that we compose for strangers, we should be able to make the grandiose vision of our organization very simple. As a bit of full disclosure, having done graphic design for many years, I've had a much different view of what branding was prior to a course that I took with my International Director of E3 Business Group, Mr. Anthony M. Butler Sr. The course was called Evolving Your Brand to a Movement. And I certainly never thought of a brand statement, which is one of the benchmarks of the actual course. So I offer that for your consideration to consider putting together a brand statement. If you have no clue as to what I'm talking about, I would strongly encourage you to look into E3 Business Group and this specific course, Evolving Your Brand to a Movement. Now that I've made my shameless plug for a very exceptional course, I think I'll just share my brand statement. DESIGNEFX JC3 strives to provide quality communication through a wide variety of media for small to medium-sized organizations in need of a clear and consistent public image and education customized to the needs of our clients. With regards to the third thing that branding should be, this is one that I've noticed a lot more in recent years. It should be orchestrated by you, the entrepreneur, and assisted by your marketing and creative professional. Typically, I run into different clients that see what I have done and what I can do, and really without knowing, they may give me the impression that I am just to cultivate the vision and then run with that vision. The kicker is that's not the case. As a designer, I always came to an existing idea, an existing vision and direction. Didn't always create that vision. I added to it. So I offer this for your consideration at this point. If the vision wasn't yours before you contracted the professional, you really have nothing to talk to him or her about. You may not have an idea on how to implement it in this particular medium that I do, but you knew before you contracted me as the creative professional or someone else what your business was, what you envisioned it to be, and what you wanted it to be, even if it's on an abstract level. Those are the things that you bring to the table and you converse with your professional on. Think of it as a collaborative relationship. You know what you want it to be, just not quite sure on how it should look the part. This is the piece your creative personnel assists you with, but doesn't necessarily bring to the table. Well, we've covered some yeses, so let's cover some nos. More specifically, those two things your branding should not be. Again, this is not the end-all be-all, but just some things to keep in mind. One thing your branding should not be is inconsistent in look across the media that you display it on. I think, unfortunately, this happens very naturally for many entrepreneurs that I work with. Sometimes because a lot of business owners don't stay with the same person who did one part of their marketing and branding, and over time would have their website, social media, logo, print marketing, or any other personal identity for their business done by multiple creative personnel. And each of them tend to have similar but multiple interpretations on what your vision should look like. In some cases, we hire someone who is only able to do one of the aspects of your branding, and the next person comes along, interprets your vision differently, and then what happens is there's no cohesive look and feel to what the image and visuals are projected to your target audience. Now, to be fair, I understand that every time that you expand on your branding that you may not be working with the same designer that started out the visuals for your business. And that sometimes means that you have to be very proactive in your selection of his or her successor so that the next person, even with a different creative style, will be able to come in and carry through as close to the same imagery, feel, and message that you had going on with your previous creative professional. This isn't very easy to do, but it's very necessary so that your audience still has the same idea despite who is working behind the scenes. It is sometimes harder for people to really grab onto who you are and what you are about if they're getting very different visuals and different feels in your print and web marketing. You always don't have the luxury of having the same designer handling all of your design work. So the ownership is yours to make sure that whatever's carried through is at the very least managed in execution close to, if not identical to, what has already been established as your personal identity for your business. Along the lines of the previous point, the second thing your branding should not be is just thrown together. I've revised multiple logos and created logos from scratch as well. But being quite candid with you, a logo made from clip art with some significant thought behind its color, its visuals, and how it cohesively joins together the overall vision of an organization will always beat an original full-blown logo design created from scratch. It's just my personal commentary, but experience has shown that to be the case. At the end of the day, every aspect of your marketing should be about putting together your best representation in front of your potential customers and clients on what you are, what you represent, believe, and how you will take care of them as a business organization. Anything that doesn't do that, no matter how much work is put into its execution, really doesn't help your business. When a customer sees your branding and imagery for the first time, they are laboring under the idea that whatever they see was deliberate and created that way for a reason. Since this is what they're thinking, it's definitely to our advantage to make sure that that is the case. Okay? So I've told you 3 things that branding should be, 2 things branding shouldn't be. But before I step away from this presentation, the one thing I want you to remember about branding is what? I'm glad you asked. I'd like you to remember that the branding of your business is assisted by a marketing or creative professional, but it is your baby, and your approach should carry through that thought process all the time. Here's a great example of that point. I happen to serve as a member of the leadership team of E3's North Florida region here in Jacksonville, Florida. I'm one of the 5 individuals that our international director, Mr. Butler, has entrusted to his 20-plus-year-old baby, his business E3, when he's otherwise engaged in other business matters. We happened to be riding in a car not too long ago and talking about E3 and operations, and I happened to use this same analogy of the business being a baby or a child, and we gave it leadership as its caregivers in his absence while he's away on business. I followed this analogy with the statement that he trusts us completely to do our very best with his baby when he's away, and it's a collaborative relationship between he, as the business owner, and us as the caregivers, leaders, coordinators, advisors, marketing and creative professionals. He trusts us and expects us to do a great job, but he's never abdicated his ownership and responsibility over the direction, the vision, and how we display his baby just because he trusts us. He still understands the need to look in on how we care for his baby and intervene if our approach does not align with what he envisioned it to be. Even the greatest branding and marketing professionals should never allow the owner of a business as a client to be completely disconnected from keeping a watchful eye over the business's branding and direction. At the end of the day, this business is your baby. You've brought this creative person into the equation because you believe in their ability to help you to mature your business but you never leave them completely disconnected from you and your watchful eye because you trust them as the caregiver. This is still your business first and foremost. You trust them because you were wise enough to vet them, and consistently they show you that they get your vision, but you always stay plugged into what they're doing with your vision regularly, so that you continue to chart the vision as you see fit, and they help to visualize it for your audience. Because when it's all said and done, no matter how talented the professional, no one else can see your vision any clearer than you. These are my thoughts regarding branding. Please reach out to me across my social media. Let me know what you think. Any questions, comments, or concerns that you may have. I look forward to corresponding with you on it. Thank you so much for your time. My name is John Carter, and I'm the CEO of DESIGNEFX Companies. Have a great day. This video was recorded prior to the 10th anniversary of E3 Business Group's Community Awards and VIP Gala commemorating the 10th anniversary of our community dialogue and advocacy presentation, Real Talk, Real Change. If you're looking at this video prior to that, you have a standing invitation to attend this gala, and the event information is present here. For any other information, please reach out to the contact information attached to this video. Thank you for your attention.